What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles in the Hisui Cup running the 3 Shadow Sinnoh starters in Empoleon, Torterra and Infernape. Now I'm going to be very honest, this team was not particularly fun to play, it felt very RPS, I could hard counter some of my opponents and then the rest would hard counter me, and there didn't really feel like there were many opportunities to flip games if I outplayed my opponents, which is never enjoyable. As well, Toxicroak just destroys the entire team and is very common in this meta, so that wasn't great either, but please don't click off the video just yet. I do promise there are still plenty of crazy battles in this video. So with that being said, let's get into the question of the day. Which non-starter Pokemon would you like to see get a community day in the future? Let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know which move if you've got any in mind. And with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so going into the first battle, and I want to mention as well, I did use 2 Elite TMs for Hydro Cannon and Blast Burn on the Empoleon and Infernape respectively. Torterra actually felt like I didn't need Frenzy Plant. Stone Edge is better coverage, and here we are getting hard counted so far, but I do at least make it to a Sand Tomb, and we grab a shield. I believe the opponent probably would have lived that, but they wanted to make sure, of course. They don't know I'm not running Frenzy Plant, and obviously weren't counting, or don't know the counts to Frenzy Plant, but here I correctly shield up the Shadow Ball, get the Waterfall farm down, the opponent comes back in with their Toxicroak. I'm going to overfarm as much as possible, go for a Drill Peck here, and Drill Peck should be grabbing the final shield. Now I'm going to swap into my Infernape, and the opponent ends up throwing on Alignment, and that is really bad for the opponent because now I can go for a full Fire Spin farm down, and the opponent's got a Drifblim in the back. So I'm going to overfarm here, go for a Blast Burn, and this is a Shadow Infernape. Blast Burn one-shots the Drifblim, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into next game we see a Abomasnow in the lead, so a bit of an awkward matchup here, but not actually that bad. We are going to be double resisting the ice type damage, so obviously they have to full send an energy ball here, and even then that's only neutral damage. It doesn't look like neutral damage as it does a lot there, but they're still not going to be able to Powder Snow farm me down. So we go for a Drill Peck, then the opponent gives up switch advantage. They swap into Toxicroak, and this is still a bit of an issue for me, but I swap into my Torterra. I should live any move. The opponent actually baits with a Mud Bomb. And as well, I think they're running Mud Shot as the fast move there, so not doing an awful lot of fast move damage. That's quite an interesting one. I'd like to use maybe a Shadow Toxicroak with Mud Shot in this cut, but unfortunately I have not got a Shadow Krogunk yet. I don't know what's going on, but I've also not got a Shadow Snorunt either. I don't know what the hell's going on, but we one-shot the opponent there with the Stone Edge, which is why I was running it on my Shadow Torterra. Now at this point, I should just be able to fully Fire Spin farm them down here. It will be close, but these Fire Spins are seriously chunking. I think they're one away from the back-to-back charge moves here, so they go for the Aerial Ace, but the Fire Spin takes them out before they can get off the charge move, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game we see Toxicroak in the lead this time around. So yeah, this is why I didn't really like running this team. And now we're going to see the opponent comes in with Frost Sass, and this time we don't actually get off the charge move. And this really confused me. It happened like several times, but we should be like in sync there. I should get off that charge move every single time. As I get off 10 Razor Leafs, get to the Sand Tomb, the opponent fires 11 fast moves somehow and takes me out there. But yeah, I don't really know why that happened there, but I do at least live an Avalanche. We had to use one shield already. They come back in with the Toxicroak. We're going to go straight for the Drill Peck. Drill Peck grabs the first shield from the opponent, and unfortunately, unlike the previous game here, we have not got both shields from the opponent. We've also not got this Toxicroak very low, and I can go for a Blast Burn here, and this will either take out the opponent or grab the final shield. They use the final shield there. They're actually going to fire off the charge move straight away, so we might still have a little bit of play here, and the opponent's going to swap into a Shadow Mamoswine, and it's actually really important that they did that, because now they can just barely outpace me to an Avalanche. That's double resisted, but it does just barely KO the Empoleon, and unfortunately we do end up losing that game. But GG's to that opponent there. Into next game we see Hisui and Electrode in the lead now. I don't think they're going to go straight for a Wild Charge, but honestly Energy Ball is going to do a ton of damage. But then the opponent gives up switch advantage, and that is really, really odd. I have no idea why they did that. And especially I have no idea why they didn't shield that. That makes no sense to me. And now we can just completely wall this Pokemon. Well, actually, the Energy Ball will be neutral damage, and you're going to see it does huge damage there. But I don't believe they're going to make it to a second Energy Ball. This is just going to be a Wild Charge. It is triple resist. resisted. We are a Shadow Pokemon, but it doesn't KO. We can now get the Razor Leaf farm down, and now they've got a Shadow Skuntank in the back. So it makes sense that obviously they've got an ABB style team, but when you have such a dominant lead matchup, you don't swap out of that. So here we come in with the Infernape. Honestly, Empoleon would be much better, but I just wanted to showcase my final Pokemon. We're going to grab the final shield there. We've got to a charge move, but honestly, the opponent is not making it to back-to-back charge moves, so I'm going to go for the Waterfall farm down, and the opponent just concedes the match there. So GG's to that opponent there. Internet's game Gastrodon in the lead, so bit awkward. I'm just going to stay in this lead matchup. Obviously we will lose this, but I can probably grab a shield with the threat of a Hydro Cannon, although the opponent will go for a full Mudslap farm down. But we do grab that shield advantage, and then of course we can come in with our Torterra and just Razor Leaf farm it down very quickly as well. But here I think they're at the back-to-back Body Slams already, so they go for the first one. We let that go through, but they make it to a second Body Slam, and I will just respect the damage here. Body Slam would get me fairly low. They then come in with a Froslass, and they've got a Toxicroak in the back. And yeah, you're going to see the opponent can just safely shield up a Blast Burn. If they want to, they can just fully counter farm me down, and it should be game over for me. Unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do. I'm going to come in, go for the Razor Leaf there, shield the first charge move, probably going to be a bait, and it is just a Mud Bomb bait. They make it to a second charge move. This should just also be a Mud Bomb here, but it doesn't matter. It gets me way too low. Froslass can easily Powder Snow, farm me down, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But GG's to that opponent there. Internet's going to see a Gallade in the lead, and this actually isn't so bad at all, especially when they throw on alignment going for the Leaf Blade. We can just shield this up, and we will be able to fully Waterfall farm them down. The opponent recognizes that, so they swap into their Big Barrel. We can go for a Drill Peck here. Drill Peck is going to get them very low. We can now swap into our Torterra, go for the Razor Leaf farm down, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. They're going to wait out the switch clock here and then come back in with the Gallade, only to be Razor Leaf farmed down by our Shadow Torterra, and they've got Licky Licky in the back. Now we're going to farm up a lot of energy, then go for a Sand Tomb. Sand Tomb is going to permanently debuff their defense. Can we make it to another move? Unfortunately not, but it does not matter. We've got them very low. We're going to come in with the Infernape. I'm actually just going to no shield here. They might go for an Earthquake. No, it's just a Body Slam, and at this point the Fire Spin damage has gone through. We can just shield this up, and it will now register, take out the Licky Licky, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Internet's going to see a Wormadam Trash, so this is a good matchup for us. The opponent's going to safe swap into Toxicroak. This is unfortunate, but it's a kind of matchup where we don't really need switch advantage because I do have a Fire type in the back. Of course, we do take super effective damage from the Confusions, but Fire Spins should be doing more up against the Wormadam. But here we go for the Sand Tomb, grab a shield from the opponent, and the opponent is going to throw their energy. So at this point, just going to let the Mud Bomb take us out. We're going to come in with the Infernape, go for 2 Fire Spins, which should be enough damage to KO the Toxicroak from this range, and then let's see what the opponent wants to do. They're going to come in with an Empoleon. This is not ideal for me, but we do at least make it to a close combat. Close combat would easily one-shot them, so they use their final shield. We come in with our own Empoleon, and honestly, I probably could let this move go through here, but I'm going to shield up the Hydro Cannon, feeling like the Wormadam is going to deal less damage. The opponent does swap there, makes the catch. Really nice play. I threw one fast move before they make it to the back-to-back Hydro Cannons here. Now, this is a little bit awkward. I need to throw before they get to 5 Confusions. Honestly, I think that is the wrong move, because now, of course, the opponent will outpace me to the next charge move. I think I just had to commit to the full farm down there and hope that the opponent, for whatever reason, goes for like an Iron Head, which would be double resisted. But yeah, unfortunately, the opponent played really well there, so they do take that game. But GG's to that opponent. And into the next battle, we see a Quillfish in the lead, and now we are just hard countering the opponent. We can easily let this move go through, go for the full Razor Leaf farm down, and if they come back in with a Quillfish, that's still not going to be ideal for them, as we can just go straight for a Sand Tomb, and Sand Tomb is going to do a ton of damage in this matchup. It is super effective, so the opponent does respect that, and they're going to have to fire for charge move to take us out. They full sent a Shadow Ball there, which is very interesting, which might mean they're not running Aqua Tail, in which case I'm definitely just going to shield this up, as the opponent going to fire off another charge move. They go for a second Shadow Ball, we get the full Waterfall farm down, and the opponent's got a Roserade in the back. So a very spicy team here, but it's unfortunately getting completely hard-walled by my team so far. I'm actually just going to let this move go through, then I will swap into my Infernape. Of course, I could just go for the Drill Peck there, but I might as well show my third Pokemon. They might appreciate the theme, even though they are losing, and they go for another Weather Ball. We can go for the Fire Spin farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Empoleon into Drifblim. So this is a fine matchup for us. The opponent probably does win this in the one shield scenario if they bait, but I mean, this is obviously just a Mystical Fire bait, so I'm going to let that go through. Unfortunately, that does put us into range where they can almost Hex Farm us down, but we're going to go for the Hydro Cannon, grabbing a shield from the opponent. And at this point, I'm happy to just let this move go through. I feel like I should be able to take them out in 5 fire spins here, so they shouldn't be able to make it to a Shadow Ball. So going to wait out a switch clock here, just thinking about what to do. I didn't need to wait there, but I was actually just contemplating about what to do. And here we are going to let the Mystical Fire go through, but that does get us very low. And now they come in with a Water Gun Barrel, so we go straight for the close combat here. Close combat takes out the barrel, but they've got a Wormadam Trash in the back, and this is the worst thing Torterra can possibly see. I think what I needed to do there is swap out, clear the debuff to our defense on our Infernape, and then we probably could live at least one confusion there. And now we full send a Stone Edge. That was my only win condition, and unfortunately the opponent shields it up, and we do end up getting fully confusion farmed down, and the opponent takes that game. But GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we're going to see Bastiodon in the lead. The opponent safe swaps into Cresselia. I'm going to go for a Hydro Cannon throwing straight away, and the opponent's going to let that go through, so I can now let this move go through. And of course, Grass Knot will be neutral, but it doesn't threaten a shield. They will outpace me to the next charge move before I get a Waterfall farm down though, so that's really unfortunate. Going to shield up the Grass Knot, going to go for the Waterfall farm down. I think even worst case scenario, I should live 2 counters and get off a charge move if it is a Toxicroak in the back, which it is, and we do just barely get there. I just go for the Hydro Cannon just in case the opponent swaps back into their Bastiodon for whatever reason to try and catch a Drill Peck, because Hydro Cannon is still going to do huge damage to the Toxicroak. But here I'm going to shield this up. I'm going to go for 3 fire spins, go for the Blast Burn. This should be grabbing the final shield or KOing. The opponent uses the shield there, but they get a full counter farm down. Now, I don't expect the opponent to blind throw here, so I'm going to come in with my Torterra hoping to snipe, but they do just blind throw, and it's just going to be a Mud Bomb as well, so that is resisted damage. They come back in with the Bastiodon, and we absolutely need to catch the charge move here, and I'm able to wow, I've completely butchered that, damn it. I am able to successfully catch the charge move there, and now we can go for a Sand Tomb. Sand Tomb, gonna deal decent damage there, but it will debuff their defense, and I'm able to Razor Leaf, farm down the Bastiodon, and take that game. Excuse the awful commentary in that battle, but into the next battle, we see another Bastiodon in the lead this time around, and I think the last one was in the lead as well, actually, but here we're going to go for a Sand Tomb, and I've got no idea how this is a CMP tie, because I believe the opponent throws after 7 smackdowns there, so I think maybe I was just starting these battles 1 turn late, which is why I had a bit of confusion when I was swapping out and then, like, not making it to a charge move on my Torterra. But here we're going to see the opponent going to go for a charge move. Honestly, the Infernape is incredibly classy, so I end up shielding that up. We can get the full farm down. We are down 2 shields here, but let's see what the opponent wants to do. They come back in with the Bastiodon. Honestly, should have gone for Blast Burn here, because I believe I would still make it to a second charge move, but now unfortunately we don't make it to the next charge move, but it does not matter, as we can go for a full Waterfall farm down, and the opponent's got a Togekiss in the back, and at this point we're looking very good. The opponent is just going to concede the match there, and I'm able to take that game. So just to let you know, we have switched up the lead here. So Torterra in the lead, we're going to lead into Empoleon, and the opponent's going to swap into a Frostlass. So we're going to respond with our Infernape. We're going to have to shield this up, unfortunately. A Shadow Ball would be one-shotting us, but it doesn't matter. We can grab a shield back very quickly with our close combat potential, and honestly, I should have just gone for the close. I don't know why I'm going for it here. We're not going to make it to 2 moves this time around, so honestly, should have just gone for the close combat straight away. That way I give them less farm, because now, unfortunately, Empoleon, with a lot of energy, can do very well up against Torterra. So instead, I actually come in with my own Empoleon here. Going to take the first move as they go for a Hydro Cannon. I should now be able to shield up the next charge move, and then go for a full Waterfall farm down. So they go for the Hydro Cannon, number 2. We get the Waterfall farm down, and the opponent's got a Drifblim in the back. So here, we're going to go straight for the Hydro Cannon. Honestly, I did expect this to just KO. Well, actually, no, of course not the first one, but the second one, I do expect this to just KO, and you're going to find out that a Hydro Cannon doesn't actually take them out there, so I'm forced to swap out into my Torterra, force the opponent to throw the energy. Mystical Fire takes us out, but unfortunately, it's a simultaneous KO, and so we neither win or lose that game, but GG's to that opponent there. Into next game, we're going to see the opponent's going to safe swap into a Gliscor. We're going to respond with our Shadow Empoleon. Going to have to respect the damage from an Earthquake, of course, and it is the Earthquake, so that's great. We go for the Waterfall Farm Down. We've got a lot of energy. The opponent can, of course, sponge that onto their own Empoleon, but that's fine with us. We can go for the back-to-back Hydro Cannons here. The first one is going to do some decent damage. It is, of course, resisted, but the second one should be able to KO, and I think we've still got enough health here where we can probably live this, and we do just barely live that. We're going to get off a second Hydro Cannon here. This will be enough damage to KO the Empoleon, and the opponent's saving both their shields for their Drifloon, but that doesn't matter because they're not going to have to use any shields remaining because I'm not going to throw any charge juice here. We're going to come in with the Infernape. For whatever reason they bait here, I don't understand why. We can just let that go through, swap into my Torterra. These Razor Leafs are resisted damage, but it doesn't matter. We're still chunking. Going to let the next move go through. Mystical Fire takes us out, and now we can go for the Fire Spin Farm Down, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, awful lead as we see a Frostlass, and I saw a lot of Frostlass in the lead, unfortunately. We're going to swap into our Infernape, go for a close combat, and I really need this to connect. We full send it, and the opponent actually lets that go through, and then they throw their energy as well, so this gives me an opportunity to flip this matchup, or at least get a simultaneous KO, and now it's just a guessing game. Are they going to come back in with the Frostlass, or their final Pokemon? I guess that they weren't going to come in with the Frostlass, and unfortunately, I made the wrong call. We're going to have to let this move go through. Avalanche will be one-shotting us. We come in with the Empoleon, and unfortunately, unless they've got something incredibly weak to Empoleon in the back, this is going to be game over. They go for a Shadow Ball, and they've got their own Empoleon, so there's nothing we can do here. I'm going to fire off the back-to-back Hydro Cannons, hoping that somehow we're able to, like, just connect both of them. But at this point, I realized that, yeah, there's no point in throwing. The opponent will now use their shields. They're going to fire off their own Hydro Cannon, taking out the Empoleon, and unfortunately, we do end up losing that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, a much better lead for us as we see a Gastrodon. The opponent's going to safe swap into a Bombasnow, and this is what I'm talking about RPS. We're either just hard losing these games or hard winning these games, and there's very little in between. We go for the Fire Spin Farm Down. They come back in with the Gastrodon. We fire off a Close Combat. Close Combat going to deal huge damage there, so the opponent respects the damage this time around. We come in with our Torterra, can let this move go through. If they've got a Toxicroak in the back though, this is still going to be very tricky, but I'm hoping they're not running that, and they've got a Frostlass in the back, so this is looking fine. We can go straight for the Sand Tomb. Sand Tomb gonna go unshielded by the opponent, and they only have one win condition now, which is to full send a Shadow Ball. They don't play to the win condition anyways, but it doesn't matter. We can go for a Waterfall Farm Down, and I'm able to take out the Frostlass and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, another Frostlass in the lead, so I'm going to say so into my Infernape this time around. And the opponent's going to respond with Toxicroak. It doesn't really matter if we swap into our Empoleon or our Infernape. The opponent can just very safely shield once, and they can still go for a full counter farm down, maintain alignment, and yeah, there's nothing we can do here. Because they got Frostlass in the lead, I'm actually just going to no-shield my Torterra because it can't do an awful lot up against that Frostlass, especially with very little energy. We do just barely still live that. We get the Razor Leaf farm down, and we come in with our Empoleon, and we might still have some play here. I'm going to shield this up as the opponent goes for a Shadow Ball. But no, it's a Lucario in the back, so they're running double counter. Nothing we could do here, unfortunately. Hydro Cannon going to grab the final shield from the opponent, and they can very easily counter, farm me down, and take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, not a great lead here, and we can't really swap out just because they do core break me, but I'm probably going to swap out anyways. But we do get them fairly low there, and the opponent responds with a Samurott, Hisui and Samurott, which isn't that good up against Empoleon. We go for a Drill Peck, we do connect, and now we can just safely shield this up. Hoping that it isn't an Icy Wind, and it isn't. It is just a Dark Pulse, and now the opponent is going to come in with their own Empoleon here. Shadow Empoleon on Shadow Empoleon. Very cool to see. We're going to go for the Hydro Cannon, and even though it is resisted damage, it would do quite a lot here. They're going to go for a full Waterfall Farm Down, which is really scary for me, as a lot of energy on the Empoleon is going to be very dangerous for my back line. So what I'm going to do is come in with my Shadow Torterra, go for the Razor Leaf there as the opponent throws straight away. I'm going to have to shield this up. I expect the opponent to swap out of this matchup, and they do swap. I'm able to catch the charge move. What did I just catch? I catch catch a Sand Tomb, which is very interesting, and the opponent's going to throw straight away once again. Sand Tomb will be taking us out, but now we can just go for a Razor Leaf farm down. I believe they are still one away from the next charge move, so I go for the Razor Leaf. Now I can go for a Sand Tomb. Sand Tomb takes out the Empoleon, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into possibly the final battle of this video, we see a Drifblim in the lead. So awful lead, gonna say swap into my Infernape, and the opponent's actually running Astonish as their fast move. And this is now not going to be a Shadow Ball because it does take slightly longer to make it to a Shadow Ball. But either way, they can just go for a charge move, shield up my charge move, and fully Astonish farm me down, which is not ideal because we don't maintain alignment here, or we don't regain alignment here. But the opponent is now going to fire off another charge move. This time I will shield it up. It is just a second Mystical Fire, and now they finally swap into their Toxicroak, so not ideal for me whatsoever. We're going to go for a Drill Peck, swap into my Shadow Torterra, and at this point, it's not looking too good for us, but I'm going to shield the first charge move. If they do full send a Sludge Bomb or a Shadow Ball, I should be able to make it to a Sand Tomb. Unfortunately, it is a CMP tie, but this will just be a Mud Bomb. We can live this. Go for the Sand Tomb, and I will be able to get rid of the Toxicroak, although honestly, I probably should have undercharged that a little bit more there, because now the opponent is able to Astonish, farm me down, and they've got a Frost Slash in the back. Now it just depends, can we live this? This will just be an Ice type charge move. It's a triple Axle, which we do live because it's double resisted. And now a Hydro Cannon coming through takes out the Frost Sass, and once again, unfortunately, we do end up simultaneously KOing, and we do tie that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.